Hey guys, so as most of you probably know, I'm here by myself this weekend. Courtney is on her way to San Diego for a bachelorette party with her girlfriends. So I'm here in the Salt Lake City area with both girls, and we're just kind of chilling and hanging out. But this gives me an opportunity to talk about something that you've asked me about a lot, and that's my video setup, like how I edit video, what application I use, what process I use, that kind of thing. So in this video, I'm going to answer that. There are basically two major video editing pieces of software out there. There are others that do a pretty good job, but the two that you'll hear the most are Adobe Premiere and also Final Cut Pro by Apple. Adobe Premiere is, of course, by Adobe, and I'm used to Adobe software, so that's what I use to edit my videos, Adobe Premiere Pro. I subscribe to the Adobe Creative Cloud Master Collection, which means I get all different, every single Adobe product. I don't use every single Adobe product. I have Lightroom, which I use a lot, Photoshop, which I use a lot. Those two are for photos, primarily photos only, and then Premiere for video, and occasionally I'll open up Adobe Audition if the audio needs some work. And After Effects, I've dabbled here and there with After Effects, but that really gets a little bit on the creative wizardry side, and I just haven't really learned After Effects all that much yet. So even though I have that installed, I don't really use it. My primary software application that I use is Adobe Premiere. And what I do is I have a MacBook Pro right here. This is like a 2012 era MacBook Pro. Not exactly the most recent technology that I'm working with here. I plan to upgrade sometime this year. But what happens is I take video from what I'm filming this on, and I download it immediately to my 2 terabyte Western Digital hard drive. That's where all of my video stays. And once I have video on the hard drive, I come over and open up Adobe Premiere. As you can see, this is a how-to that I'm working on right now. And I actually start working on the video straight from the hard drive. So it's not going to be quite as quick. There is some buffering, and I mean this computer doesn't have a very big hard drive. It has a solid state hard drive, which is nice and fast, but I can't really work with the video on the embedded hard drive with all the other applications I have installed. That's one of the reasons why I want to upgrade. But for now, I'm just working with everything on the external hard drive, USB 3. It works well enough. So what about the process I use, you might ask? Well, I usually don't like to let video just sit for days and days before I touch it, because then I lose context with what we did, and there are certain things that I might want to include that I just forget over a number of days. So what I do is, whenever possible, I start editing. I do at least the first basic cut the day that we record it, while everything is fresh in my mind. It takes a little bit more time each day doing that, but I think it saves me time in the long run by not having to go back and rewatch video that I know isn't gonna work. And I know that intuitively the day of, because I know what shots I took and I think will work well. So I don't necessarily have to go through all the video if I know that some stuff just didn't work when I was filming. And it usually takes me anywhere from, I mean, a Tuesday talk will take me 15 minutes to put together, because there's not a lot of cutting or any of that. It's just one long video, well, 6 to 8 minutes usually, but it's straight video, and I maybe apply a filter or two and enhance the colors and contrast and that kind of thing, and export that sucker. It's easy. The toughest videos are like the hiking videos, or somewhere where we take lots of different video from different angles, sometimes different cameras. We have a GoPro Hero 4 that we use for some of the video. Most of the video is shot on this bad boy, which is a Sony a6300. Video up here for more about that camera. And I'll tell you what, while I have you in here, let me just show you a little bit of Premiere Pro and how it works. So this is one of my last videos where we were leaving Jefferson County Lake and we were going to where we are now, in fact, Salt Lake City. So in Premiere, by default, you have these different panels, and these panels are completely configurable. And by the way, this is not a Premiere tutorial. I'm just showing you a little bit about how I personally use it. So these panels are configurable. See a panel here, panel here, panel here. All these can be moved around the screen so they are in the position that works best for you. So right here is the preview of where I am on my timeline. So as I put video together, look down here in this panel, you'll see a bunch of different video clips. And this is our intro here in the green. So I move the timeline like this, and this is the video right before it, and you can see that that was a video of our bald eagle that we saw on our last day. And I just press the spacebar key and it will play the video before it's exported. This is a minimized version of how the video is actually going to look. Once I'm done with everything here, I export it, and that exports it at full quality. But while I work with it, it is significantly less quality, and that's good. That works for me, so my process is a little bit quicker that way. So up here, when you select a clip, up here in the top left, you see a bunch of different settings. What I usually do is I apply something called Lumetri color, and that's how I change, the exposure, the contrast, the highlights, really enhance the video picture a little bit using Lumetri color. Works really well. I like it a lot. So that's usually what I will apply to most of my clips that need some work. Down here on the lower left, you see all my different clips. Now these are source files, so these are straight out of the camera. And these, I pick and choose what video I want from the source file. So I double click on a file here, and it comes up here in this little preview box. And then you can move it around and select a particular starting point and ending point. As you can see here, I started this particular clip at this position, and then I ended it at that position, and then I simply drag this over, or you can use a shortcut key, which is the comma, to bring both the video and the audio over to your timeline exactly where your position is here. So that works really easy. It's very, very quickly once you get used to the interface and how everything works. And by the way, I also typically use these headphones so I don't annoy the heck out of Courtney when I am editing my video. So these help a lot. So I hope you enjoyed that little look at Premiere Pro. Like I said, definitely not a tutorial. But if you would like more in-depth tutorials on Premiere or Lightroom or Photoshop, I don't consider myself an expert, but I use them enough to be able to walk my way around the application pretty well. So if you like those enough, let me know, and maybe I'll do another one that's a little bit more in-depth. So what's the hardest thing about putting together a video? Well, especially when you do outdoor videos like ours, there's two things. It's lighting and audio quality. Audio quality, I think, is pretty obvious. The wind, it's gonna screw up your audio unless you have like a wind muff or a dead cat. We do have that. We do have a dead cat, but even that doesn't get it perfect. So that could be kind of challenging sometimes, especially in a stiff breeze. It's almost impossible to film without getting wind noise. But even the lighting, when you're outside and it's cloudy, that's perfect. Because you have, really nice, soft, natural light with no harsh shadows or highlights. But like a day like today, there's hardly a cloud in the sky, and it's really bright, the light is harsh. This is tough. This is tougher. So for me, I just count on having to do some editing in Premiere afterwards. But that's not a big deal. I mean, that's all part of the process. And I always like to shoot with the sun to my face rather than back, because when you're back, then I'm silhouetted, you get some dust on the lens, but when you're like this and the sun's coming at the face and you're shooting against the sun, that's a lot better. One last thing, to music or not to music? I used to overuse music like crazy, but I've learned not to do that, especially talking over music. But even if it's low, you might be able to get away with that, but I use music where I need to use music. But I don't overuse it anymore. I only use it when I really think it's necessary. There is such a thing as too much music.